Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the show. This is The Arena and I'm Samson Olede. Promises to be another exciting edition of the show. More importantly, we'll start from the world of tennis. It's all about the French Open. And in the men's category, home favourite Joe Wilfred Soga was in action yesterday, and it was a loss for the Frenchman in 4 sets, having battled with shoulder injury during the course of the match itself. It must be said that the 4 sets were keenly contested by John Wilfred Tsonga, who had disclosed earlier on that the Roland Garros or the French Open will be his last tournament in tennis, even as he calls it a day when it comes to his career. Will be hanging his racket, and you had to give him props for having competed well, it must be said. That ended in 4 sets, as I said, 7-6, 8-6, 6-7, 4-7, 2-6, 6-7, and Love 7. That ended with Joe Wilfred Tsonga dropping the last 12 points of the game itself. Talking about Saul Canelo Alvarez, it's now confirmed he will be taking on Triple G Gennady Golovkin in a trilogy which has been slated for September 17th. It will be taking place at the TBC at Las Vegas, and it must be said this is a bout that everyone is looking forward to. The first bout ended in a controversial draw, which so many pundits and fans alike deemed Golovkin the winner of that. The second, the rematch, was a very narrow win for Alvarez, while the third one, which is now penned for September 17th, will definitely live up to the billing, although there are question marks regarding, the age of Golovkin, who is over 40, while Canelo Alvarez is in his early 30s. So for Golovkin, it's probably just he's at the twilight of his career, no doubt about it. But for one of the greatest fighters of this generation, you never can tell if he has just one more trick up his sleeve. And oftentimes in sports, players or athletes who are at their twilight of their careers oftentimes have one more trick up their sleeves. Is this the bout that so many who think Canelo Alvarez is the favorite going into this? But we saw his performance against Dimitri Bivol just about 3 weeks ago, where he suffered a unanimous points loss. So you never can tell where it swings. But if the first two bouts are anything to go about, then it means that I beg your pardon, then it means that the trilogy would definitely live up to expectation in terms of giving us the competitive edge as well as the intrigues. Let's see how that pans out. Saul Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, he holds all 4 belts in that division, and all 4 belts will be on the line on the 17th of September against Gennady Golovkin, who will be looking to probably retire on a high and get one over his rival. Over the course of the 2 bouts, it's a draw and a win to Alvarez, so we'll be looking to even the scores, talking about the trilogy against Saul Canelo Alvarez. Well, that's how much we can take regarding boxing. Now let's delve into the business aspect of things, talking about sports business news. We start from motorsports. Formula One's new budget cap is interacting with the world economy in unexpected ways, and some are calling for change. Oracle Red Bull team principal Christian Horner said that due to inflation, 7 teams would have to miss the last 4 races to stay within the $140 million cap. The FIA, which is the governing body of Formula One, introduced a $145 million spending cap last year, which reduced to $140 million this year. The cap will be pegged at $135 million next year. Liberty Media CEO Greg Maffei has credited the budget cap with leveling the Formula One playing field, particularly by containing Mercedes spending. Quote, "Fright has quadrupled, and that's not something we can control," end of quote, said Horner. While Horner's sentiment was shared by the other leading teams in the 2022 Constructors' Cup, such as Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren, other teams dissented. Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Haas, and Williams all voted against an inflationary adjustment at FIA meetings last month. Alpine team principal Otmar Servener suggested that the issue is more than larger teams that are unwilling to adjust their budgets as opposed to small to mid-sized teams missing races. And now, still talking sports business news, in the world of football, Sevilla, Spanish football club, have agreed a deal that sees UK sportswear brand Castori become the Spanish football club's kit supplier for the next 4 seasons, starting from the 2022-2023 campaign. The agreement sees Castori take over the club's technical brief from US sportswear giant Nike, a contract which was reportedly worth €3 million a year. The deal marks Castori's first partnership with a Spanish club, with the brand set to produce all technical apparel for Sevilla's men's and women's teams. The move into Spain comes as Castore seeks to grow its presence in European football. And let's wrap up now sports business news with a bit of basketball. The Golden State Warriors have announced a multi-year extension of their jersey patch partnership with Rakuten. The Japanese e-commerce firm first became the Warriors' jersey partner in 2017 before the deal was extended in 2021. When first signed, the deal was reported to be worth $20 million annually, which makes it one of the biggest of such contracts in the NBA. The latest renewal will see Rakuten's logo continue to feature on all Warriors uniforms, with the brand also gaining additional visibility and enhanced signage at the team's Chase Center home. Additionally, the new contract covers provision for enhanced inclusion in digital content activations, with the e-commerce giants becoming the presenting partner of the Rakuten Runway Players entrance, which is popular on social media with fans keen to see the NBA stars' fashion choices. The partnership will also continue to see exclusive apparel collaborations and shopping experiences via the Rakuten platform, as well as exclusive discounts for users registered with the Japanese company on the Warriors e-commerce portal. And that's about it when it comes to keeping you abreast with the latest sports business news. The attitude of the fans are questionable, and that's something that we advocate all the time, that football players and football fans should support their clubs without violence. Unfortunately, Roma and Feyenoord clash in what's probably the biggest games of their careers, or of their careers this season rather, and the fans are not making it good for both sides. You had Roma fans clash with Feyenoord fans at Tirana, which is the capital of Albania, the venue for tonight's final between both teams, and it was a very, very gory sight. It's more than what you're seeing on your screen right about now. 19 police officers were involved, were injured in this clash, including a police officer that suffered knife wounds. It was stabbed. It's just pathetic. As a result of the clash, over 60 fans of Italian fans were deported. In fact, they were termed hooligans. That's the word. Over 60 fans were deported. As I said earlier, 19 police officers were injured, and Roma as well as Feyenoord fans clashed at Tirana in Albania, which is the capital and the venue for tonight's fixture. Again, this is something we condemn in totality all the time. Football should be without violence, not what we are seeing right about now. I hope that all of the action will be on the field of play, and more importantly, that after the match, the fans do not take laws into their hand, but rather they accept the outcome of the match in good faith. So it says what it is. The match will be taking place at the Arena Coventry, which is a 21,690 capacity stadium, and you can rest assured that both fans will now have to be placed separately in terms of their seating arrangements. Local police authorities have reinforced to ensure that peace and order is also in play in terms of ensuring that the fans do not clash one more time. But you also have 10 Albanians being hospitalized with various wounds of their own, and you have Albanians, you have Italians as well as Dutch men also involved in this. So it's a gory sight, really, it must be said. 48 Italian, 12 Dutch nationals were deported from Albania as a result of this clash. So the match itself, you have to give kudos to Jose Mourinho. Mourinho will be chasing history, it must be said, with his Roma side. It will become the first coach to ever win all 3 tiers of European club championship trophies if he's able to win the title with Roma. Remember, he has won the Champions League with Porto before, and as well as Inter Milan, and he has also won the Europa League. I'm talking about formerly known as UEFA Cup, also with Porto and Manchester United, which was Manchester United's last major trophy, it must be said. So you have to give Mourinho his flowers at this time. If he ends up winning the Conference League, it will be the first manager in history to win the UEFA Champions League, the Europa League, as well as the Europa Conference League titles, and that would definitely go down in the history books. All eyes will be on Tammy Abraham to lead the strike force for Roma. Scored an impressive 26 goals in all competitions for them. Is the leading scorer in terms of Italian Serie A, and also holds the record for the highest goal score, the highest English scoring man when it comes to Italian Serie A as well. So records here and there all to be broken. Feyenoord on their own are definitely no pushovers. They were able to get the better of Marseille over 2 legs, 3-2 on aggregate that ended. And you have to understand that they also have ways of playing the game in terms of going all out or being nitty-gritty in terms of packing the bus, as we call it in football. So we saw that in the return leg against Marseille, and definitely they can do that in the final. Again, we hope that all the action is on the field and not in the stands where the fans will be. Hopefully, the local place authorities there are able to contain whatever comes forth from there. Now, moving on from the Europa League Conference final, let's talk about Chelsea Football Club. Yes, good news finally. The uncertainties have all been put to rest. May 24th, which was yesterday, you had the Premier League approve that Chelsea's sale has met with its owners and directors test and has passed it. And just 24 hours afterwards, the UK government has finally approved of the sale to the Todd Boehly-led consortium. So it means Chelsea now have new owners, and it's just puts to rest all of the uncertainties and confusion surrounding the club. Just as 2 days back, there were talks of Roman Abramovich probably calling in on his £1.6 billion loan. There were also talks yesterday of the Portuguese authorities delaying in licensing the sale. Remember that Roman Abramovich, a Russian national, holds Israeli passport as well as Portuguese, and the Portuguese authorities needed to approve of to license the sale as well, the takeover. But now all of these clogs have been trashed, and finally there's a new sheriff in town for Chelsea Football Club, and I'm sure Todd Boehly will have his hands full in terms of retaining some players, in talking about contract extension, as well as getting new players on board. Right now, the reports have it that Todd Boehly is interested in keeping Thomas Tuchel as manager, but other administrative roles are still questionable, including certain players, who comes in, who goes out. I'm sure in the coming days, all of these will be put to rest. But good news is that the UK government has approved the sale, and that's good news for Chelsea football fans. Still talking about Premier League football, Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool's manager, won 2 awards yesterday. Yes, the double, if you want to call it that. Talking about the managers' awards, it was awarded the Premier League Manager of the Season. In other words, he is the best manager in the Premier League for the 2021-2022 season, and this is despite losing the title to Manchester City by points on the very last day of the season. But you have to understand that he's definitely the man to beat for the award, because he won the domestic double, which is the Carabao Cup as well as the FA Cup, and also pushed the Premier League title all the way to the wire. Talking about a point, separation between the champions and Liverpool right there on the last day of the season. So it's a well-deserved one. It was also voted as the LMA Manager of the Season, which is the League Managers Association, and that's a vote that cuts across all other managers in the league as well. So if the managers in England think Jurgen Klopp is the best as well, and also in the Premier League, who are we to say no? It is what it is. The Liverpool manager has the opportunity to win his 3rd trophy this season, and that will be in the UEFA Champions League final against Real Madrid, which takes place on Saturday, it must be said. So let's see how that pans out. But for Jurgen Klopp, I think this is a well-deserved title for him.